Hey guys, how's it going? Duke of Italy, favorite lo-fi music YouTuber, and as you can see, hands-free music YouTuber. And as you can also see, caveman YouTuber. I know, it's like almost full circle. I've been talking about caveman riffs and all this wonderful, wonderful metal, and now I'm a caveman. It is almost Halloween, and I am going as a caveman this year and having a little Halloween party in a couple hours. That's why I'm dressed like this. I'm about to be the best looking one at the function. That's just a fact. I'm also going to be the one providing all the stuff. Most of the stuff. My roommates are contributing as well. But that's not what we're talking about today. As is tradition, I'm wearing the Halloween costume for the Halloween party, and that's when I'm recording this video right now. November is almost upon us, and with November comes nothing but black metal November. I've covered black metal each year, starting with that silly little black metal chart like 3 years ago. Then I did one nothing but black metal November, two nothing but black metal November. Now we're on a third one, and we've started different trends. The first year it was 60 albums, and not all of them were great. Some of them weren't, and I just kind of replaced one at the end just to be kind of fun. And last year, I replaced everyone I didn't find to be as good. We're going to continue that trend going up this year. Like the first year, we're still doing 60 albums on the list up front. I'll explain those to you guys in just a minute. And also, sort of starting last year, we're covering a bit of a country. This year, it is Greece. I counted, if you include Cyprus, we are doing about one of every 6 albums is from Greece this year. Maybe next year I'll up it a little bit, just to be a little bit more consistent. But also, a thing I'm starting this year is a band's discography. Now, as last year I did Japan for a country, and I did it before Nothing But Black Metal November started, I'm also tweaking this year's thing a little bit. I'm not covering the band's entire discography for 2 reasons. One, because it's pretty large and it has a distinction between demos and albums, and 2, because 2 of the releases aren't black metal. They're ambient releases. I am talking about Paysage d'Hiver, and I will get into that in just a moment. I am not covering any of their actual proper albums, but I'm covering all of the albums that are labeled as demos. There is no legitimate distinction between these demos, between what could have been demos actually, or ones that were just called demos just to be cult, as in Roth kinda, or Winter as he's known in Paysage d'Hiver, or whatever his real name is. He distinguished them, basically said they were all demos just to be more cult, kind of for the bit. Doesn't really matter. They're all full-length releases, and most of them are all excellent. I'll be talking about those in just a moment. And other than that, this year, of course, I mentioned earlier, we're covering Greece. So those are the 2 things we're doing this year. And now, the 60 albums for this year, I'm going to read them all right here. I mentioned hands-free earlier because I got a little mic stand, and that's another little addition we have on this channel. So let's begin. We're beginning, of course, with Paysage d'Hiver's Steinik, which is the debut of Paysage d'Hiver, the debut demo. Then we're going into Paysage d'Hiver's Schottengang, and then we're going into the band's less popular pick, as I do every year, with Paysage d'Hiver's Kerker, I believe, Kerker. And then we are going into a cool little Gravity concept EP here. This is a band known as GGUW with Behauptungsanimalidad, which is a half German, half Brazilian album. It's an EP, but it's about like 20-something minutes. I've heard it's absolutely insane. Then we're going into a re-listen with Paysage d'Hiver's self-titled album. And then we're going into Paysage d'Hiver's Crystal and Isa. And then, next page, we got another demo on our hand. This is sort of a blend here. It's a blackened grindcore EP, or demo, I guess you could say. This is Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes Buddha Composted Pond. This is a band I've mentioned a little bit in the past. Absolutely furious band. One of the heaviest black metal bands I've ever heard. One of the angriest I've ever heard, of course. And then we're going into a band from Cyprus, Godblood, with those Funeral Times. I've heard it's got some really cool heavy metal influence. It's one I'm really excited for. And then we've got sort of a symphonic album here with Grozemkeit, BSOD, a classic German guy known for Heroin Makes Happy, as well as many other projects. This is his album Nostalgia Okkultes Blut. I'm really excited for it. Should be super raw. And then we're covering our first recent release on the chart, Afski's Hundrede R. It's a popular band. They dropped the album this year. Not an incredibly popular band by any means, but it's certainly one that I have some faith in because they're still making good material. Then we got Thou Art Lord with Eos Phoros, sort of pining into that Greek sound. with a little bit of that progressive and a little bit of symphonic stuff. One thing I will mention about the Greek sound this year, I'm not covering any Rotting Christ. That I need to mention because last year I covered the biggest Rotting Christ album. And I would have covered it this year if I didn't cover it last year. I probably should have covered one of those this year, but maybe every year from now on I'll cover a Rotting Christ album, just because. And after that, we've got Nidhogg with Ravens Over the Road of Kings, which is a demo, but it's also a DSBM classic. It's known as one of the origins of DSBM, which I thought would be very interesting. And then we're covering a popular band's less popular pick with Immortals Damned in Black. I'm determined to cover basically every Immortal album on this channel. We're like 2 down. We have like 2 to go. And we're not going to cover the demos because those are more death metal. But I know this is in between Heart of Winter and Sons of Northern Darkness, which are 2 of the 3 most popular Immortal albums, up there with Pure Holocaust. So hopes are very, very high for it, especially because almost the entire discography has blown me away, except for the latest album. I never heard the 2 albums after Sons of Northern Darkness, but before War Against All. So I don't have a lot of faith in those, actually. But I don't really care to, as that's a sort of a later period. Next release, this one's a real cool one. Vlad Tepes split with Belketra. I don't know how to pronounce that stuff, but it's March to the Black Holocaust. These are both Les Legions noir bands, so I'm super hyped to cover that split. And next, we're back on the train with a re-listen of Paysage d'Hiver's Wintercalt, which I mentioned I was going to cover on the Cold Black Metal chart, and then I skipped it because I felt like it. Next, we are covering Paysage d'Hiver's Nacht, getting close to the end of the discography there. And then we're covering a Black and Doom album here with Amestigon's Thier. It's spelled like Tier with a H in it, so that's how I think you'd pronounce it. And then we have Paysage d'Hiver's Das Tor, which is all the Paysage d'Hiver we're covering this year. You might have noticed the 2 demos that are ambient I did not cover. You might have noticed I have not covered the singles, being the Schnee tracks. Maybe in a year I'll cover those. They might be interesting. I've heard they're interesting. And maybe I'll cover... I could either do that or like the split with Druth. All right, then we've got an American classic here of Have a Hedge with Kim Batanan Premaster. It's more of a droney, interesting album as far as I've heard. I love Dethrone the Son of God. Absolutely one of the filthiest black metal albums I've ever heard. So I'm really hyped to hear Paul Ledney's other stuff. And the new Profanatica album this year was also like fantastic. So I'm really open to hearing more Paul Ledney material. And after that, we are covering a recent release. This is actually from Singapore, of all places, with Welkin, Emblems of Valor. It's like a Singapore Chinese-themed, like, medieval album. It sounds super cool from the description I read. I heard like 5 seconds of it. It looks super cool. And after that, we were covering Arcanum with Kostagher. I don't know how to pronounce any of this stuff. Apologies. But it looks super fun. This is the band has that one album called like Thorn, which I spent more time learning how to pronounce that than anything else here. After that, we have Tyrannus with Faust. And after that, we have Shining with 3, Angst. This is a popular band's less popular pick. Shining, of course, being known for 5, I believe, and also dropping an album this year, and being generally a pretty consistent and one of the most influential DSBM bands, especially on the progressive route. After that, we have a compilation, Mortifies the Way of All Flesh. And after that, we have a re-listen, as classic as it gets, literally as classic as it gets, Dark Thrones, Ablaze in the Northern Sky, one of the first black metal albums I ever heard. Thought I'd just re-listen to it this year because, I like re-listening to the classic popular ones just to throw us in something I know I'll love. And after that, we have Strid's End of Life demo, classic DSBM, excited to cover that one. And after that, we have a Blackened Crust album with Ritual Knife's Hate Invocation. And after that, we got, from my boys in California, RH07 from the Rhinoceros label. Now, that one might be a little tough for you guys to find because Rhinoceros is not a band, but a label. It claims this is under various artists. It is not. It just might say that whenever you find the release. It is, Rhinoceros is a label from California where almost all of the bands remained anonymous, but the members were all basically the same. They just traded members in between their bands. So, not as complicated as it sounds, but I heard the music is super mystical and weird, and actually a couple of those members return on a future release I'll be talking about here. Next is Legion of Doom's Kingdom of Endless Darkness. Hype for that one. And then we get a recent release, which is also Blackened Wargrind, of all things here. Wargrind has been a trend I've been loving recently because it's just been more blackened death grind, or like war metal with slightly better production, but a little heavier, slightly more breakdown leaning end. Sorry about that. My power went out. Of all things, my power went out. But let us continue. Where were we? We were at, of course, Meth Christ, Pestilential Warfare of the Black Flame, a recent release, and also Blackened Wargrind. Super hyped for that one. Been stalling on it all year. And after that, we have, oh boy, a band pronounced Leshi, translates into Goblin. This is from... The title is Filthy Dreams or Effing Dreams. It's in Russian. I'm going to post a little picture of it right here, and I'll post a link to it in the description of this video, at least some sort of listenable link, because it was an album that really popped off just a couple years ago. So I'm deciding to cover it right now. And after that, we're covering Fiendish Nymphs Aeneon, which should be hype. After that, we are covering either Drutk or Druth's Swan Road, which is a popular band's less popular pick. I'm excited for that one. I've heard the reviews are actually quite excellent. And after that, we were covering a band known as Unholy Vampire Slaughter Sect with The World Trapped in Vampiric Sway. I'm going to cover like a vampiric album at least every year, probably a couple. And after that, we are going to cover another re-listen, which I'm very hyped for this one. Burzum's Det Sammengang Var. Classic as it gets. One of the most influential albums of all time in terms of metal. I will even say in metal over black metal. I know I just said that and I'm being redundant, but I want to clarify that I meant what I meant. And after that, we have Divisor with Unspeakable Cults. After that, we have a Blackened Funeral Doom album, which I'm very excited for. Chaos Moons with Lenguar into Echoes Beyond. And after that, we are covering Leviathan's massive conspiracy against all life. I gotta cover Leviathan every year. It's a band I love so much. I'm not through the entire discography, but I'm probably going to cover it all on this series at some point. And after that, we have Hate Forest's Sorrow, super hyped. And then after that, we have a recent release, which a lot of people hype this album up, but I haven't heard it yet. Thantifaxat's Hive Mind Necrosis. I've heard it's kind of progressive leaning, but like not in an obnoxious way, so I'm actually excited for that one. Then we have something I should have covered a long time ago, but I've heard their EP, and I love it a lot. Mortuary Drapes, All the Witches Dance. That's like the Halloween album of all time. Let's be totally honest here. That and like Goblin's Suspiria soundtrack. And then we have Verathron with Walpurgisnacht. I totally butchered that, didn't I? Probably a little bit embarrassing, but I don't really care. Okay, maybe I care a little bit. And next one, I'll admit, I don't have a lot of faith for this one, but looking at the reviews and how on the average what people thought of it, I thought I'd give it a shot. This is a popular band's less popular pick, as well as a blackened death metal album. This is Behemoth with Pandemonic Incantations. I'm no idea if it'll be good or not. I don't love Behemoth by any mean. I didn't hear the last album, but the one everyone talks about I've heard. And also, maybe at some point I'll cover Behemoth's early stuff, which people say is actually quite good. But I wanted to cover more of a sort of middle period album from the band. And then after that, we're covering something I'm almost guaranteeing will be great. Tra with Endelet Toneg, I think. Tra is a band from the United States that everything is in the own language, written by this Damien guy who's in the black gaze band Sadness, but Tra is absolutely an incredible project, and this one I'm sure is going to be great too. Here's a picture of it. I'll probably post a link, or I'll probably just post the text here right now, just to keep it easy. And then we got a re-listen with Bathory's Blood, Fire, Death. You know, I'm covering a lot of classics this year. I just thought I might as well. Maybe next year I'll do less classics, but I think these are some excellent albums, and I really want a good year for all of us. And then rounding out the top of the last 15 albums, Nachtlicht, self-titled, and after that we were getting finally this one, Destroyer 666 Unchained the Wolves. That's like a blackened thrash metal album, super hyped for it. And after that we have Necromantia with Scarlet Evil Witching Black, classic Greek symphonic black metal album, it's gonna be so good. And after that we have Rubber Witch with Masturbations Malveillantes MMXVII, which is like an industrial black metal album. Let me sort of devise that's what, 2017? I think that's maybe when it dropped, so that makes sense. And then we were covering a recent release, one I'm actually kind of excited for. Zaster's Inevitably Dark. I've heard great things about it from some friends of mine. I'm really hyped to check it out. And of course, following that, Fless with Frenzied Bloodlust Underneath a Black Moon, Really hyped for that one. Love the vampiric stuff going on. And then we have Xemios in Monumentum. Got some more Greek content for y'all. After that, Inquisition into the infernal regions of the ancient cult. I'm surprised I haven't covered all of the Inquisition material at this point. I've listened to probably like 5 of the albums, and they're all fantastic, and I'm sure this one's going to be great as well. After that, we have Pharmakea's self-titled Keeps on Rolling, and after that, we're doing another re-listen, but this one's a little bit more underground. This is more Murray's self-titled album, sort of a black metal ambient experience here. Really cool album, super hyped for it. It's like just under a half hour long, but I think it's a super cool thing. I haven't heard it in a while though, so I thought I might as well cover it. And after that, a war metal release, if you could call it that. So it's certainly something I won't be listening to directly, but something I'll be listening to while I'm getting a sick pump in, getting these guns in form, because this is Tetragrammaticide with Primal Incinerators of Moral Matrix. Awesome. And then we are covering sort of a black noise adjacent thing here with Emit, A Sword Death for the Prince. Super cool title. Even cooler, more sort of mystical band that I'm super hyped for. And after that, we have the CD rip, and that is important for this release only. Reverorum Immolact, De Mysteris Dom Christi. This is a band that has released 3 different versions of De Mysteris Dom Christi, and on vinyl, cassette, and CD, they are all different. I've heard that the cassette rip is the best version, but the track lists are different apparently, or at least the songs are, and they sound nothing like each other. So maybe I'll cover the rest of this band's discography at some point. They're a band that's really interesting. I'm going to probably cover something by them every year or so. And after that, maybe the last Greek one for the chart, Nocturnity's Onyx. It's one that I don't see mentioned as much, but I think the album cover is really cool, so covering that one. It's relatively popular, but it's not as popular as the other Greek ones here. And then finally, with members from the Rhinoceros label, or minimum 1 member, Odds Manuk with Bosor Gazan, which is a recent release. That's from a dude who used to be on the Rhinoceros label, and I thought it would be really cool to cover his new album this year, especially to round off everything, because that is just 60 albums I just introduced right there. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys will join me on this Nothing But Black Metal November listening experience. Of course, I will be listening to some more black metal than what I said here. I have time to listen to extra demos, probably a few more albums. If I have time, I will try to listen to the entire Mutilation discography. I'll try to listen to the entire Summoning discography, other than Lugbers, because I don't really care for Lugbers. But I just want to get some extra listens just to pad this out and make sure I have 60 great albums for all you guys like I did last year. And that's a bit. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Like and subscribe. Any comments, questions, or concerns down below. What are you listening to this year? I would love to hear about it. And that's about it. Hope you guys have a safe and happy Halloween. Do stuff responsibly, but go as beast mode as you can. I'd love to hear how you guys are doing out there. Join my social media in the description as well. Instagram, Twitter down there, or X now if you want to be like that. And my Discord as well. I'd love to see you all on that page. And that's about it. Hope you guys are doing well. Have a good day. Happy Halloween. Bye.